Okay.
Okay.
I worked for United Aircraft during the war, the Hamilton Propeller Division of Pratt Whitney. So when I get into service, propellers have to be balanced, assembled and balanced perfectly, because if they're not, and a lot of times they can't balance a propeller on board ships. So I spent a lot of time on the ground putting these together and balancing them 8 different ways. So when they get on board ship, they don't have to try to balance them. So that was the only thing that was a little different with me, because of my experience with the Hamilton propellers. But it was nothing spectacular. I did serve about 18 months aboard an aircraft carrier, but nothing spectacular happened. A lot of times I spent it in the Atlantic Ocean. We were patrolling from Gitmo, as they call it, Guantanamo Bay, and to Haiti, to the Panama Canal. I was just on board ship. That's what I had. But I hope I don't disappoint you. But if you want to know some other things that maybe I learned from the war,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, anything is.
I learned some very. I want to see if that picture's in there. Don't move. I don't want to fall down.
I can get it.
I don't know if that picture I want to show you is there. No, it isn't there. It isn't in there. No. Maybe this is it. No. It isn't in there. It's
Because we're not just interviewing combat soldiers. We're interviewing everyone. We're trying to interview everyone that was involved in the war at some point. Because unfortunately,
because there was so many that's involved. Because my brother, each one of them, my brother George, my youngest brother, was the most attacked. The one that ran. He was a ground soldier, and he earned 2 silver stars in Korea. And my brother Ernest was a first lieutenant in the Army and the Navy because he was a college graduate. So he spent a great deal of time on the islands. My brother Roland was not accepted in the Navy. They said he couldn't go because he had an operation in the. But then the Army took it. Of course, it was the Air Force in those days. In those days, there was no such thing as the Air Force. So he served, and he became a first lieutenant in the U.S.
Army Air Corps.
And he flew all around the bottom. My brother Guido, who later became an artist, was in the training for a Navy pilot. And he flunked out, and he was happy about that because he got scared stiff flying. But he served the rest of the time in the Pacific as a regular sailor. I was the oldest of the brothers. I did not get drafted because I was working with the aircraft, but I couldn't see my brothers going. All my kid brothers going. They all graduated high school. I'm still working. I couldn't see them, so I went and wouldn't join the Navy myself, and I only turned out to be a regular Swabi. I was what they call an AMMP, Aviation Machinist Rate Propellers. So that's what my 5 brothers. My wife's brothers. One of them was a lieutenant colonel, and the other one was a medical doctor who was a major. And he served 5 years in the overseas in the European War, and the other 3 were all servicemen. One was a pharmacist mate, the other was just a soldier. I'm hurrying through it just to give you a general picture.
No, you don't have to hurry through it. Please take your time.
If you want something in particular from me, I'll try to find some particular. But I was so. I know there was so many brave men that did things so great that I don't compare with them as far as I'm concerned. The only thing I can compare with is I volunteered, I put my foot forward, and if they wanted me that way, I'd put myself in harm's way. But if they didn't, it was my good luck. But I never I would never try to get out of it. In fact, I went and stuck my nose, and my father thought I was nuts. He said, "You're going to job with United Aircraft, and then you're going to volunteer. They told you don't have to." You know, there's something about I'd like to explain about the World War II, rather. When I got this, I was a printer. Originally, I was a printer. I was working in a print shop, and in January 1941, don't forget that's 1 year before the Pearl Harbor. I had a chance to go work for a defense plant. I went down to Hartford, Connecticut. I come from Haverhill, Mass.
Okay.
I went down to Hartford, Connecticut. I worked down there, and I quit printing. But I could see something strange going on because we weren't at war. There was nobody who was at war. It was January 1941, and still we were working 14 nights in a row, only one night a week off in the aircraft. They were putting up propellers on aircraft engines, about a dozen. And I said, "There's something strange. What are they doing with all this stuff?" But Roosevelt would never explain it. He said, "We're not going to war." But why ain't we going to war? What am I doing? So almost a year later, in December 1941, we were at war. And I finally saw what was happening. Up until that time, we had 42,000 people working the aircraft at that time.
Wow.
And I said, "And we're not at war? There's something wrong here." But I never put my finger on it. I used to read the papers about Westward Pegler used to criticize Roosevelt, and others used to. And it says, but Roosevelt kept avoiding any questions. But here we are. But they knew something was in here. But when I got hired, this is what I want to point out. When I got hired, I was from actually a little town outside of Haverhill, Mass. I owned a print shop called at the time it was in right out. I was working in a print shop, and I went down, and when I told them I was working in a print shop and I come from, signed me right up. One of the guys, Hartford, I learned of him later. I talked to him. He said, "How'd you get your job?" He said, "I've been living in Hartford all my life. I go down there every other week to try to get a job. They never hire me. You went down to the first thing, you told me you come from Haverhill, Mass, and you're not a machinist mate or anything, and they hired you. Why is that?" Well, I found out later. When they prepare for war like this, they hire all the people from Hartford to go to. When the war's over, they all stay there, but whereas when the war's over, I go back home, and that leaves them completely free to let me go because I don't come from there. So they had it all planned out. They'd hire me, but my wife came from Bellows Falls, Vermont. They hired her because she come from Vermont, but they weren't hired any women from Hartford. You can see they were planning this thing right along. That if they hired people all from Hartford, the war ends, they're in trouble. But they had all planned, and I didn't see it till afterwards. I could see, why did they hire me? I'm not a machinist mate. Why did they hire me? And they wouldn't hire him. But I can see now why they did it. See, that was a very, very important point to make, that as I can see it. Maybe I'm talking too much.
Oh, don't
continue.
No, talk as much as you want, sir.
Because I really haven't much to say about myself, because I'm just one of my 5 brothers that went, and we all came back alive. Thank God for that. I think only because of brave men. Many brave men didn't come back. I've seen on aircraft carriers a brave man. I got a picture there, but it's all right. An aircraft comes down to land on the back end of the ship, and it smashes in, and it's all on fire and everything. One of the pilots there will leave his safe position and go out and climb that damn plane and try to get that pilot out in the middle of all that. I said, I don't know how he did it. The man had more courage than I ever had. He made me cry when I saw him. He was so brave. He had a perch there. He was safe. He'd leave it to climb that plane and get, and it was ready to explode, all the fire and everything. He lived again. I just admired that guy. They showed pictures of it, but I still get thrills when I think of him, honestly. Yeah, he was so brave. And we had a lot of men like that. We had a lot of men. Some of us didn't have a chance to become a hero. We might have done it if we pushed for it. But we weren't pushed. But some didn't get pushed, and they went just the same. They'd leave their perch, but you know, you just fell for them. That's all. I still do. Even it's 60 years, and I still think of that guy. I just can't forget him. He was safe. God bless him. That's all I can say. I don't know what else I can say to you about it. You got me all steamed up now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You got me steamed up, but I didn't do anything to get steamed up about. But I steamed up about the people I was with, the American soldiers, the American GI was a great fighter. They did a great job.
Yes.
And they weren't pushed. I don't know. 16 million went. And of course, I say American men. We had nurses and women in this that were. I learned one thing in Dunwall. Women are just as brave as any man living, and they'll take the punishment as good as any man living, and they'll go right up front for any man living. They never do it. They always say the man is a brave guy. She was the bravest man going. She's as brave as any man ever lived. I don't care what anybody says. Even today, the GI girls in there today, they're on aircraft carriers today. They're just as brave as any guy in that ship, believe me. And you don't realize it, but women don't put themselves forward, but they are brave, and they take punishment. They're great. They're really great. They make this service something great. It's if they all stick together like we did in World War II, this country can't get beat. No matter who's leading, even if they make mistakes. We got so much we overwhelm with the mistakes. But that's the way I look at it. I feel very safe in this country. I feel very thankful. People come to me. See, my folks came from Italy. I'm Italian by birth. I say I'm not Italian. I'm American. I never went back to Italy. I wouldn't visit back there. My father says the most important thing of his life happened in this country to him. He said, I was able to move from one place to another. I was able to work in this place there. I never had that opportunity in Italy. And he says, I'm so grateful to this country that I would never leave. He was really sold on this country, and he sold us all the time. He told us all the time, you're in the greatest country in the world, you better keep it. Yeah. So that's why I was always grateful. I never considered myself, I was from Italian parentage, but I'm an American. And I got the one little trait, when the war ended in 1945, it was after that, I had been going out with this Polish girl in Hartford. She came from Bellows Falls. Well, and I came back. I was 2 years after I came back. My father had died. I married her, and it was the best thing I ever did in my life. She gave me more advice than anybody ever. She was a Polish woman, and she was terrific. She died 5 years ago, and that's why I'm here.
Sorry.
I have nobody in my family. They've all died since, so I have nobody. That's the only reason I sold an 8-room house right up the street up here. But I'm living here all by myself in this one room because there's nobody in my family. Nobody left my family. So that's the one thing that has got me down as being there. It was one point I want to make about her, but I can't make it. I'll think about her in a minute. But I don't know what else I can tell you, but I married her in 1948, and I got into a partnership with owning a printing shop. The two of us in Groveland, Mass. He was my former teacher when I learned printing in the high school. He was out, and when I came out of service, he went into service in pub. But in 1951, I owned a building the print shop was in. My mother and my youngest brother, who was not married, lived in one apartment. My wife and I lived in the other apartment upstairs over the print shop. When the war started in Korea, my youngest brother, George, who was in the Army, got called back. He had to go back to Fort Hood and go back to fight. So we left me alone with my mother's wife. Sean, 4 months later, I got a call. I had to go back. And my partner tried to get me out. They says, they're filling an aircraft carrier, and we're looking for all the aircraft carrier people who had been on the aircraft carriers. So they called me back. Left my mother and my wife alone living there. And my brother and I, we went 18 months. I've spent 18 months at sea on the Atlantic side because of the Korean War. So I got two service things up, but you got me to. But I served 18 months. My wife, about a month after I had gone, I had called down to Brooklyn. They were filling in the aircraft carrier for. My wife had a miscarriage. She never had any children after I married her. 62 years I was married to her, and we never had any children. She lost that one miscarriage, and she never. I was away. There's an old saying: if you're not there, nothing's going to happen. I couldn't be a father if I was out at sea. So that's what happened to me. That was a sad part of my life because I was away 18 months on the Atlantic side. I was on the USS. I got pictures of the picture. I was on the what's the name of it? I heard it 60 years ago. I can't remember the ship I was on. But that's the sad part about it. I got being called back. And they wouldn't take it back. They says, we don't care what the condition you're in. We need people with aircraft credentials that have been in this stuff, and you got to fill these ships up because of this. We don't know what's going to happen there. So but my brother John, they shipped him right to Korea. That's why he won 2 Silver Stars fighting in Korea. But I didn't. I was on an aircraft carrier. We didn't do anything but. I went on a sailing trip, but it wasn't joyful because knowing my wife was home alone. So that is the sad part of my life. I don't know what else I can say to you.
When you were on the aircraft carrier in World War II, what did you do? What exactly did you do?
I did actually nothing, to tell you the truth. A lot of times I was ashore putting propellers together.
Okay.
I never really saw any real action.
Oh, you didn't?
Not really. I was on board aircraft carriers, but a lot of times I wasn't there because I spent sometimes months just assembling and balancing. These propellers have to be balanced in 8 different positions, and it had to be accurate because they'd windmill around and take their plane and it wouldn't go take off. Because these planes, the Hamilton propeller, people think it's just a blade. It's more than just a blade. There's a mechanism in there. Because when the plane takes off, the blades turn to the most efficient, and when he's going in full speed, it turns it. And if something goes wrong with the engine, it puts the blades, cuts the air like that. If they go like this, you take that plane and it would take the plane down. So that was the only thing. If you're looking for heroism in me, you won't find it. I'm not.
Don't worry, Mr. James.
No, I'm not. I would never tell you something I did and it was just so great.
Everybody serves their
seem
part.
proud that I was there. I was there. I was in harm's way, but I never really was. There was a lot of. I'm not alone. There were hundreds and thousands of men like me. We supported the group that's up front. It took 8 men in the background to support one guy at the front. That's what it took. And I was one of those 8. I just followed orders. That's it.
The person in the front could never survive
I had
without
I
you.
had a good record in the service. I was discharged. I had two discharges. One from World War II and one from the Korean War. My wife earned the second one, really, not me. She earned it. She took care of everything, my business. And she said, we were buying the property and everything. She took care of everything with a small salary I was getting in the service. but that's that. I try to figure some things that you might be interested in, but that's what my interest is in. As far as the war is concerned. But outside of that, I've done very well on the outside.
Oh, please tell us about that, though.
I've done very well. When I came out, I went into business with my former teacher, and we were in business for 20 years. In 1968, I decided to quit, and it was only for this reason. My wife was advice. She says, "Here you are." She says, You're getting on an age. We've been married since 1948. That we've been married 20 years. We have no children. If my partner, he was older than me, if something happens to him, how are you going to do this? I'll be left alone. Will you and I be left alone? We have no children to pass this on to. Why don't you sell your part out and go out and work in industry and live quietly? So that's what I did. I sold to my partner. He didn't like it, but he agreed that I was right. So in looking around for something else to do, I found out there was a company. I met a man in an interview. There was a company down here in Burlington. The man came from Germany. He was a very smart man. He started a place in Cambridge. He called it what he did. He'd form a nucleus and run a little 1 week training to different places all over the country, and he had to have people in the background to back it up. We spent as much as $35,000 a month on postage alone. I met this man about that, and he says, you know what, this guy I met, he says, I'm working for this German guy down there. He was a German. And he says, why don't you come down and see me? I said, like, we're having trouble with our mail out and our printing. They had a print shop and they had a mail out system and everything else. He said, we're having trouble with the guy that's running it. He's been doing things on the side after hours and stuff like that. We'd like to interview you. So I went down and he hired me. I came to Burlington. That's how I came to Burlington. I came to Burlington, and we worked a couple of years. Was going real good. When his company depended on cost plus. The government would pay for everything he spent cost plus, but that folded, and so he folded out. In the meantime, I've been studying. I was taking courses at Fitchburg State College through the GI Bill on Saturdays and nights. For no special reason. And I got a degree in teaching. I got a BS degree in education. They formed a new school here in Burlington. It's regional. It's Bedford, Wilmington, Billerica, the other one, and Burlington. And they were hiring people there. I got hired to start a print shop for them. At first, not so much, was graphic arts. I was hired with an art department. We were there about a year, and they decided to expand it to a printing department, so I was hired gave me a year off to buy all the equipment and set up a whole print shop in the new school. It's called Shawshene Valley Technical Institute.
Yes.
So I was hired that first year to set up their. I bought all their equipment and everything, set it all up, and I taught them about something. And while I was teaching there, I did get the honor of. Maybe I can show you what you get. I should have been far down. Okay. I'm still old. Fitchburg, you ain't going anywhere.
Oh, no.
I got the whole afternoon to talk to. No, I won't kid you.
Any other memorabilia you
I was
have?
awarded this before I retired.
Mm-hmm.
I served on 2 school committees,
Mm-hmm.
2 different school committees, and
Awesome. You can sit down.
let me go by.
Mm-hmm.
I want it. I come to now the most sad parts.
Oh, don't worry.
I got a picture here. I just wonder if you can pick me out of this picture.
Mm-hmm.
You hold this. I got boxes of this kind of stuff.
Oh, we'd love to see that.
No, this isn't the one. This just happens to be. That's my wife's. My wife's. That isn't the one I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to go by you again. Just want to get you.
Oh. If there's any way I can help you.
This is a picture of my degree.
Mm-hmm.
I guess probably a copy of it. Not about that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Fitchburg? Yeah. That's
Yes, Fitchburg.
I'm going to go by here.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, you see me walk on. I get up. I'm all right after I get up. It's all right. I'll put them away. Yeah. There's a picture here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
I like that for a bunch of sailors, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you open it up, man.
Okay. Wow.
I'm over here somewhere. I can't even find myself anymore. You know what there is? That is a Ford plant. The Ford company had a school that teaching sailors.
Mm-hmm.
I went through the Ford school. That was at Dearborn, Michigan. It's a Ford.
November 16, 1944. Wow.
Is that a beautiful picture?
Yeah.
You can't find anybody you know in there. I'm in here somewhere, but I can't find it myself.
There's a couple arrows
Yeah.
pointing towards the top row.
Yeah, probably that's it. That's probably it. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. That's all I brought it out, just to get a kick out of it.
No, it really speaks to how many people served in the war. How many? So this was 1944. So
The Ford plant did wonderful. See, it wasn't only mechanics. At this school, this Ford school, they taught bakers and cooks.
Oh, wow.
And they taught engineering. I was in engineers class where we're being taught what the engineers are below decks. But I never worked below decks. I worked above decks all the time on the aircraft carrier, But I was in the engineer plant. But that was an interesting thing. It was a good place to go through. They were training cooks and bakers. You know, we'd go to dinner. We'd have big chocolate cakes and pies and everything because they were practicing. So we had a good time. We had a good time there. It was a very short time, about 2 months.
Oh,
but
okay.
it was very wonderful. Up in Dearborn, Michigan, with the ball games at. See, Dearborn is right connected with
Detroit?
Detroit. We'd go to a Detroit baseball game.
Yeah.
We had a good time. It was we had some good times too. It wasn't all bad, but that was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that so much.
Can you tell us more about the people you served with?
Huh?
Can you tell us more about the people you served with? Like, did you become friends with any of them, or your fellow soldiers, sailors? Sorry.
What do you mean? Say that again.
Can you tell me about your experience with your other sailors, like your personal relations with your other sailors when you were on the aircraft carrier?
Oh, well, it's hard to tell. It's been so long, and I was friends with a lot of people in the aircraft carrier. I was especially friendly with one of the guys from Hartford. He was the one who used to complain all the time. He said, I couldn't get a job at the aircraft, and you got one. He was one of those. But there was a lot of, because we moved from time to time, and we moved with different groups.
Oh, okay.
But it was hard. It's hard. Like I told you, a lot of them were so brave that it made me feel as though I was really nothing. I was really nothing. But that's one of the things about aircraft carriers, that you're very close with people. If you were close enough, we probably 5 guys using the same toothbrush.
Oh, wow.
That's how close you could get me. And when they sounded quarters, everybody run. I mean, it was all men in those days. There was no women for aircraft carriers, so it was different than it is today. But we're all men. The service guys like myself, we have compartments down below with four decks, 4 bunks high, and we get to know each other real good. I mean, it was a case that you just took it for granted. The guys there the same way as you did, and you took it for granted. You never particularly saw this guy as so much greater than this guy. Some were very smart, some were very clever, but they all did their job. The Navy did an awfully good job of training their people. They sent them to training schools. They do it like that. They took the time to take me two months out of to go join this. The Navy was good that way. I always look back at the Navy as a wonderful part of my life. We ate good when we could. A lot of times we had to, but the people that prepared everything was well trained, and they did their job good. Of course, Marines served with us, on board our ship. They would be the landing force.
Yes.
God bless the Marines, I tell you. I always look back and say, isn't it wonderful that some guys are Marines that joined the Marines? This guy's he's got the room next door to me. He was a Marine, and he's having a lot of trouble living. I mean, he's just come out of rehab.
Okay.
He's lost a lot of weight and looks terrible, but he served in the Marines. He was in the contingent of Marines that was used for protecting the President Roosevelt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But he means a lot of guys like that. He's got stories he could tell you. I haven't got. I'm just telling what I can of my own life. Some of my things I'm telling you has nothing to do with the service.
Oh, everything's...
Well, my latest thing is my wife. I was teaching school like you said, and I was getting along real good. The salary was good, and I had summers off and everything else. But then she got what the sugar disease with diabetic. She became diabetic. She was losing her eyesight, and she was losing the toes. And this is back in 1981.
Oh, wow.
So this goes back a ways. And we didn't have all the things we do today for diabetic. They treat me a lot to tell me to be careful because my wife was diabetic. So they give me pills and different things to be careful. But I take no needles or nothing. But she got worse, and it got to the point. That I found out she was faking it half the time. She couldn't see, but I knew she couldn't see well. But one Sunday, she burnt a roast. She turned the out of my eye and didn't realize it, and all of a sudden it was all. I decided then I was teaching, I could quit. So I retired to be with her. So I lived with her but she finally passed away about 5 years ago. But she went through a terrible time with her eyesight when they cut the toes off and things like that. She went through some terrible. So that's why I'm here alone. I have nobody. All my brothers all died, and everything. How old do you think I am?
Can't be over 70.
I can't be over 70. 95.
Wow.
That's, I'll be 95 October 25 this year.
Wow.
I was born 1917. So I'm really living on borrowed time.
Well, that's important because we're trying to get everybody's experiences before they pass.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to make sure that everything is archived for future generations.
Yeah. I don't know what else I can. I'm sorry I can't tell you I was a hero.
Please don't.
I'm sorry I can't tell you that because I wasn't. But I did see a lot, and I did go through it. Don't forget, all these things happened to me over 60 years ago. So it's very hard to bring this all back in one incident. But I do have some remains I guess I kept. But I had an 8-room house I sold last year about this time and came to live here. I live all by myself. And living here, the people treat me good. What it is in my kind of life. It's the people live in this complex are mainly all women. All these complexes have been built for elderly people are for women. Men don't last that long. Sorry, that's what it goes.
We do have shorter life.
I'm one of a few that's around here, and it's few of the men that are here that was debilitated. You know what I mean? Like this Marine, he's.
Yeah.
I don't know what's keeping me going, but you have to live in. You see, I have no company here at all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At night, I'm all by myself every night. And I go to lunch. I meet certain guys at lunch, but I never see them outside of lunch period. It's a hard word to say. It's a lonely life. You can live with 100 people and be lonely, and I can prove it. And then it's nobody's fault. The women are wonderful, but all the activities are planned around them. The only activity, this whole day, like today, the only activity I am going to be involved in was at 11 o'clock I have exercise. I don't have to be there, but that. And the other activity, I go to church this afternoon. See, I have no access. I have no car. I had a car, I sold it, but I don't dare to drive anymore because what I would do, if I got in an accident, I would be at fault because I was old. No matter even if I wasn't, I'd be at fault for my age. They'd say, well, you're 95 years old. You must have been you, not this 18-year-old kid. So I sold my car. In fact, I gave it to one of my friends. But it leaves me with no access. I can't go anywhere. So the only time I can go to church, I'm Catholic. I go to Catholic Mass. And they have Mass in Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. Well, they have a van here that leaves on Saturday afternoon at 3:45 to be at 4 o'clock Mass at St. Barbara's Church there in Woburn. And that's the only two activities I was really involved in. If it wasn't for the Mass, I wouldn't even be involved in nothing else. It's a strange way of living. It's my end. It's the end of me. I just phase in right out. But I find it very hard to get used to it. It'll be 2 years in October I've been here in this building, and it ain't cheap to live here, believe me. But I'm still here. But I have nobody to go. I have some nieces that live in Vermont that see me now and then. I have a sister-in-law lives down by Fitchburg. Outside, I have nobody. Nobody comes to see me. I'm alone most of the time. Like you just came in, I don't even watch TV. That's how alone. That doesn't interest me. I watch the ball game. You see, we set up a big screen up there. It says all those interested in seeing the Red Sox going to have the screen. Go down. Nobody shows up. No. The women don't care about that. You go downstage. You tell one of the women the Red Sox lost on there. For what? Who cares? So you don't even know. But the strange part is I got a woman right next door here. She has a 3-room apartment. She's a marvelous person. Her name is Elsa, and she's a Swedish. She's a big, tall girl. She's blind, and she's followed baseball all her life. She always gets, she has a radio, she listens to the game. After the game, she always gets to me when we go down, we talk. Yono and I talk baseball. She knows her stuff too. She knows the ball players. Just run right. She's a marvelous person. She's really really nice to talk to too. But imagine that she's blind, and they have to take her down to the dining room. But she follows baseball. She knows who got the hits and everything. It's amazing. She's amazing. I watch at night. She knows as much as I do. I don't know. My inventions. I don't know if I get to you or not, but I gave you some things you don't have to make a big deal of this either, because I'm not a glory hound at all. I'm not really. They told me, he says, somebody wants to talk to you about an hour. I said, I have nothing against that. They can come up and talk with me. He gives me a chance to expound. Now I won't have to go through all this and that for quite a while.
No, this is very, very interesting, Mr. Dins.
It was very, you can admit, it went from the low to the high to back to the low to back to the high. Yeah. My brother, you come from Wentworth.
Yes.
My brother George, the one of the two things, he's a graduate of Wentworth. Look him up, George James. And he in fact, that's it. He was teaching in Pittsburgh, and his wife died. He had 2 sons but he did well from his. I don't know what he did in Pittsburgh when he went to your school, Wentworth. He took the engineering where they molded stuff in sand. You don't take out the stuff. I don't know. But he did that. But he was head of the department in the Pittsburgh State College when he died. He died about 2 years ago. But he was head of the department at Pittsburgh State College, and it was his background of your school, going to Wentworth. That was his main thing. Yeah, he used to talk all about it. He liked Wentworth. He thought he learned a lot there. But you could even find in your. He would go back quite a few years, but he goes way back. But you graduated Pittsburgh, Wentworth. This is it. I'm old enough to go now. Go. Be put away.
Don't say that.
I'm old enough.
You still have plenty of years.
It was probably one of the things that hurt me the most. I still have my wits about me, see. Probably that's bad, because when you have your wits about you, you realize these things and you try to do something about it, and you can't because you're too damn old to do anything about it. But I do have my wits about me, most of the time. But I have no complaints with the people here. They teach me good. There's nothing they can do about it. Even if it's another place, I get the same treatment. They do it. They're all the same. These communities are all the same. 70% women, 75% women. That's all. And the trouble is, you eat. We don't go through cafeteria style with a. That would be good. I'd get that long. Now you have to wait till somebody waits on you. Somebody waits for you at breakfast. You have to. They make you sit there and wait. If you don't wait, you don't get any breakfast. I mean, you come down, you want breakfast, it's going to be served when they get around to it. Breakfast is served. Luncheon is served around 12, and dinner around 5. 3 times a day. If you want to eat 3 times a day, you go to the dining room and you eat during the time, and you have a menu. The menu is fairly good. They have there's certain things they can't give you here because they don't give a steak that you can't chew, because most of the people here have dentures. So they have to be careful. Oatmeal. No, they do pretty good. They try to vary it so you stay healthy enough. But they can't give you certain things. They can't give you.
Yes.
And they know it. But outside they give you give it two or three alternatives. You can either have shepherd's pie or hot dogs.
Is there any other memorabilia or pictures you have that you want to show us? About any pictures or stuff that you want to show us of, that might have been taken during your time in the war?
But you see, the only trouble is that when I moved here, they threw all my stuff away.
Okay.
That's all trouble.
Oh, that's a shame.
I really haven't stopped. When you ask that question, it comes right to mind. I did have some pictures. I did, but they're all gone. But see, there wasn't only the war. That was a very small part of my life.
Yes.
Because I had all these other things, and so I couldn't bring everything here, so that they did. In fact, people that helped me clean up, my nieces and my neighbor. I have a neighbor who helped me. They threw a lot of the stuff away. I figured I wouldn't look at it anymore. But I had albums.
That's a shame.
I threw them all away. I have one of the things that most of the stuff I have is my references have always been for the very small part of my life. 15 years of teaching. I taught out there 15 years, and I was on the original faculty. By the way, that was the original faculty in 1979, and I stayed there till 1984 till my wife. But that seemed to take more of my energy and thinking back on my life more than the war, because there's so much happened since the war. The war was a funny thing. You met wonderful people, you admired people, and you just kept going until somebody tells you to do. All of us, you'll be doing something else, and you get a pay for the Navy. You're being transferred on an outgoing unit. You're going to such one. There was one picture. I had a picture of. I was at the Alameda Naval Air Station outside of San Francisco.
Yes.
You heard of it?
Yeah, I've been to San Francisco and Oakland, so I've seen it.
Alameda was a huge place, but no pictures or any publicity while the war was on. When I was there for a certain amount of time, I worked in their propeller shop for a certain amount of time. You never saw anything in the papers about them. No pictures. After a while, the pictures. Wow! I said, I didn't know this was so big. So huge. They're huge. The pilots on there used to. There was two bridges. There was the regular San Francisco bridge, and then was the other bridge that went from Oakland to the Treasure Island into them. These pilots, in order to get their courage up, against Navy rules, they take a plane and fly it under those bridges.
Wow!
My gosh, it took some courage. But they did that on purpose. They wanted to see how much courage they had. Down below decks, when the aircraft was working, they have these big. They used to use steam. Today, they used to use regular motors. They have steam now because of fire. But what would happen down there when a plane would take everything with it, and then they come back and they'd pick up a tremendous speed, and they stop us, and those guys just stand there, wait right there, and then see if they can stand there, watch that thing come right back at them, just to encourage you up. Pilots, boy, I admired the pilots. They were really great. But they went out at a time, and early in the war, when we were really prepared enough. We were prepared, but not enough. The Japanese were very well prepared. The Japanese planes were very light. They didn't have much protection. The American planes was heavy, and they had, for protection, they had the F-4F Wildcat, then the F-6F Hellcat, and then they had FU, some from the United Aircraft. These planes are all good planes, but they are heavy. And in the early part of the war, they took an awful lot beating. But they finally revved up the engines quite a bit, and they were giving them a good assault for them. But it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of courage. I don't know how they did it. I really don't. I couldn't. I don't know if I would have been that strong or that brave. And I was never put to the test. But I don't know if I would have been that brave. Maybe I would have. Maybe not. Sometimes you haven't got it. That's all. But I wish I could tell you more about it.
Don't worry. You've told us
really
plenty.
there really isn't much I can tell you about him. I know the I don't know what else I could say. I know the kids that went to Shawsheen that were in my class, they were very good. You never see their name in the paper, so you never knew how good they were. Only the ones that got into trouble, they get their names in the paper. But the kids that were good, I had it was new for vocational school when I taught there. Before, it was all men in the vocational school. We had girls in the print shop because I taught camera, plate making, offset printing. I taught offset printing and the latest thing. And it's even better today. I taught color work. Don't move. Don't move. I don't know if it's in here or not, but I'm going to show you. This is Lowell University's commencement. That's my brother Ernest. When he retired, 45 years of teaching there, he was given in the beginning. He was given credit that they. You don't want this.
Stamp out loneliness.
Yes. There's a lot I want to share. You don't want to read that. That just happened to be there. Now I got things like this. What is that? Let me see if that's the one. Yeah. See, that's where they were printing the yearbook from Shawsheen when I got there at one time, and that's what happened. I decided.
Oh wow! I was actually a yearbook. I was actually a yearbook editor at my high school.
Oh yeah, whereabouts that?
Fairhaven, it's near New Bedford.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it's all done on computer now.
Oh, I know it. Yeah. See what did that? I printed the first 8 pages for this company. They integrated it into the yearbook, and they just sent that letter saying that coming from a vocational school was extraordinarily good. This is just. See, there's one of the papers I put in for my degree.
Okay.
And I just saved some of them. But, what's that?
It looks like a newspaper clipping.
Oh, that was. I
Officers.
was president of the Industrial Management Company in Hayrold. That's when I was in prison. So you don't know what it is to gather material for.
It was a very stressful point. Very stressful.
Yeah.
Getting all that stuff. My father actually went to a vocational high school for graphic design and printing.
Is that right? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's changed quite a bit. See, I've been gone since 1984. That's a long time. And things have changed quite a bit. But when I went, I changed everything. Took a letterpress all out. No more of this hand sent type or this stuff. Or everything offset, all lithography. everybody thinks that offset is lithography. It isn't. Lithography is it's similar, but it was developed. Offset was developed from lithography. In lithography, they printed it directly onto the plates. In offset, we offset a rubber blanket. We print off a rubber blanket, which gives you a nice impression. But there's a lot of things you can't do in offset that you could do with gravure printing and the other different ways. We have, so, of course, we taught the kids history of Johann Gutenberg, the inventor of the immovable type.
Yeah.
Really was the greatest change. It sounds very simple, but he changed the whole world. No thing, because instead of taking a man almost a year to hand print a Bible, they print 100 Bibles for that time because of the handset type. So we made. In fact, when I was teaching the class, of course, it was after the war. Well, they got wind of my. They would come. The Gutenberg people in Germany set up a shop just like Gutenberg had, and they brought it to the country. And I found out. I brought my students, and then they let my students do some of the work with them. Work with the Germans doing it. They showed us their shop, how they work. It was a very interesting day. We sent. So they set up a shop just like Gutenberg had.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know, with a twist down, and we had a lot of fun with it. They just show you that. But we taught the kids the background. Now, you just didn't go in and learn printing. You get the background. Why did this guy, how did he invent this? Why did it, and all our printing presses. I mean, it was interesting. And they're still doing it today. I know if I walked in the print shop at Shawsheen, I'll bet you all the things that I bought, probably a lot of it has been changed because after 20 years, things change. But it was interesting. I don't know if you think I've bared my soul, but I did tell you. I think I can. I'm old, you know. I'm old. I'm just old.
We understand.
I'm very old.
Everything you've said has been very enlightening and helpful.
You just can't stop that. You just get old. That's all. Yeah, but and then you start losing certain things in your life. There's certain things you look back, it isn't very, very important. You forget about them because they're not important. And I find trying to talk about, you know, I talk to some of the guys that have been in the service. You talk back about. We don't talk much so much. I find most servicemen don't talk much because they feel as, and a lot of them that don't, they embellish. You know, what was 3 becomes 5. What was 5 becomes 20. And I try not to do that. I don't want to embellish what I did because I didn't. I followed orders, and I did what I had to do. And I think I did it dutifully.
No, of course you did.
And I took my service very. I was very keen about it. I always talked good. I just loved the Navy. I don't know if they're still as good as when I was there.
I've heard they're still pretty good.
But the Navy was good to me. It was very good to me. I had some good assignments. And I didn't really get put in some very dangerous positions like a lot of guys got. It just so happened I didn't go on that route. You know? But I always talk well of the Navy because it was so good to me. You're talking to my brother George, and he's all the Army. He was in the 1st Army Division. But that's the way it goes. I mean, wherever we are. But
do you remember what ship you, what carrier you served on?
Yes, I have some pictures of him. I don't know if I can. USS. What the heck is it? I was on some not long enough to say I was company. So you have to be company in service. I don't know if I put something in there or not. What the heck is it? It's a USS Tarawa. It was the last one I was on for about 18 months. I had pictures of it, and yes, anybody. I don't know what I did with it. Of course, the USS Tarawa was given credit to when the Marines charged the island of Tarawa. They got caught. They got 6,000 Marines died on the shore of Tarawa. I don't know why. I don't. I had that right in front of me here. Push that one over. There it is. This is in the Tarawa. This is me. Okay. There's one of the students, one of our students, printed this one. Let's see if I can get a picture of Tarawa. I don't know why I don't have the picture though. I have the pictures of everything else.
If you can find a picture of Tarawa,
I'm sorry, I can't find a picture of that Tarawa.
Oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
I got so much junk I can't find it. I don't know. I had the pictures here. I have several of them, but the service pictures didn't do too good.
These pictures, which one are you?
You can't pick me out.
It's family
Way up
resemblance.
top left. I was the only Swabie in the whole. My brothers are all servicemen. I was the only Swabie. Because I was the oldest one in that group. See, I was about 30 years old when I serviced. My brother Ernest was second to me, and then Guido was the one that was with the Navy at Chapel Hill. And Roland this is Roland.
Yep.
He was a navigator, and of course that's George. That's the five of us. Was one more. My oldest brother didn't go into service. He had a child. He had a daughter at the time. He never got called. But the five of us went. One single.
Are these?
Oh yeah, that picture was taken in 1984.
Oh wow.
This is my brother Ernest and his wife. Their daughter got married. This is in 1984 when their daughter got married. This was a reception. The six brothers, the only one. There's George, my brother Roland, my brother. He was a barber. The oldest one. He was, and then it was Ernest, and there's Guido, the artist. He worked for Good Housekeeper magazine. But that's all the six brothers are there. Oh. This is my wife, Mary. This one here is still living. She's a PhD out of Cornell.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. She's married to George. Of course, George died 2 years ago. But she's still living. The only two in this whole picture still living is this one, me, and her. Ernest is dead. All the rest of them all dead. Oh, my brother. That was taken in 1984 at the reception of their daughter's wedding. I'm sorry, I can't get your picture.
Oh, please don't worry about it, sir. Is there anything else you'd like?
What time is it now?
It's 10:54.
Huh?
It's 10:54.
What?
10:54.
Oh, that's 10, but there's a clock like that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost 11 o'clock.
So if you want, we can wrap it up and you can go to your exercise.
Oh, yeah, I ain't going to go anywhere.
Okay.
It's up to you, but
Because
I really...
Because you covered a lot of
I
bases.
probably didn't tell you what you were looking for. But,
no, you told us exactly what we were looking for.
Because I'm older than most of them in this place, I have a lot more to do. Outside of that, there's nothing different about me. Nothing different entirely. I get along with everybody, and I follow my father's religion. My father always told us this. He says, don't you ever, and he told all boys, in his family. I had a sister that died when she was 8 years old. She would have been the oldest of the family. She died in Vermont. We were living 1919 in Vermont. In the middle of the winter, she became sick, and they couldn't get a doctor to her. The nearest doctor was St. Johnsbury, was 16 miles. There was no way getting her. But my father's advice to all those boys, he used to always say, don't you ever do anything that causes put my name in the paper that we did something wrong. We lied or we did something wrong. He says, you must protect your name and you must be honest and all the rest of it. He said, everything else will turn out right, but don't you ever make me ashamed of being in this country, because I'm proud to be here, and I'm going to live that way. And I always live by that.
That's
I try to. And I tell you the truth, I love my brothers. A lot of boys don't get along. I loved all my brothers. We got along real well. I loved all my brothers. We went out together. Not one of us were drunkards. We weren't drinkers. We smoked sometimes. I smoked while I was in the Navy, but in 1957 I quit smoking. I haven't smoked anything, and I never touch alcohol. I don't touch it at all. Not even in social go. I don't touch alcohol. My brothers were all pretty near all the same. None of us were guys that went to a beer hall and sit around and drink. None of us. I was always proud of them. We were always up the ball field knocking the ball around. That's all. We had a lot of fun doing that.
Yes.
And we come out a lot better that way.
Of course.
But that's what he taught us to do. He loved this country so much that he said he never wanted to do anything that was not trustful to this country. He meant it too, because he had seen the hard times. He was a peasant. I got papers. I wrote to the embassy, and I got papers showing that he was a peasant.
Wow.
And he came to this country. In those days, my father explained to him, he says, I lived in a family. My father owned the property, then he had land, and every time one of us, when I die, he said, we give that little piece of land to him. And then a little piece of land, first you know, the land gets smaller. He says, I was the youngest, I would have got nothing. So he said, I came to the country. But he says, that was the whole reason he came here. He said, I wasn't getting anywhere. But see, I came here, I got a job. I didn't like it there. I moved. Everybody says it's okay to move. Everything went fine. But that's what he was happy about. He said, I don't even want to visit. I said, I want to stay here. And that's where he was. So, and he raised us the same way. All six of us, we were all the same. None of us, like I say, I love my brothers, and I liked them because I loved them because they kept the rule. They did everything. Well, my brother Roland, next to that, he was president of his high school class. He was captain of the baseball team. Then after the war, came back. He was first lieutenant. When he came back from the war, he went to University of New Hampshire, became the captain of the baseball team at UNH. And so it shows that he was on the ball. I mean, that was his interest. It was good. I'm just trying to draw a picture of a family that really appreciates this country.
It is. Your family is very honorable.
We really did. Yeah.
Family served this country very well.
So what else can I tell you?
You've told us plenty, Mr. James.
You can't possibly write this stuff up. Doesn't make much sense. I can't find everything I want to find.
Oh, it's all right.
I got stuff stuck all over the place here. As I say, I have a trouble living without my wife. She was really down to earth and good. She even made my shirts, my neckties and stuff. You ought to see the nice shirts she made. She made some beautiful shirts. I used to go to buy a shirt. I'd have to have a big neck, you know. And then the sleeve would come out the end. They said, you have to go to a gorilla shop for your shop. My wife said, I'll make your shirts. She started making them. She made me some beautiful shirts. That's the type of woman she was. The old Polish woman her mother was the same way. And boy, you can't beat them. They're wonderful people. I think her mother was a little skeptical because I'm Italian, but I think she was a little skeptical because she was afraid that she couldn't understand us and we couldn't understand her because she was Polish and she spoke broken, but we understand beautifully. I got along with her very beautifully. She was a wonderful woman. And all her sons were great. Her oldest son was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. And one of them became a doctor. He's a medical doctor. He's a major in the Army. He got all a graduate of University of Vermont, you know. And so I was just lucky. I was lucky. I either was lucky or it just wasn't there. I didn't do anything.
No, you did.
So. Let's see, my brother Ernest, they gave the honors of the graduating class. He taught at Lowell 45 years. The only job, he went to school there, went to service, come back and went to school there and became an instructor. He became a professor at Lowell University. He spent his whole life at university, and he died about 2 years ago. Yeah, Roland died. Quite well. They're all dead. I'm the only one that all this picture. I'm the only one living. You might say it's living, but it ain't.
That's all right.
I can't tell you. Those are all my low lives.
It was a pleasure speaking with you, Mr. James.
You really think so?
Definitely.
It was.
I was skeptical about it. I said I won't say no to them if they want to talk about something. I'm willing to tell them, but I won't say no to them. But I really don't think there's going to be much to talk about.
No, I love.
I just told you about my life. I wish I could have told you more about the service. I just don't have it. I just don't have it. But
everything's important.
The last 18 months were the worst for me because I was in the service. My wife was running everything all by herself, and she did everything all by herself, and never complained. You know, paid the payments. And, we had a mortgage on a house, on a building, and she paid the payments, and she squeezed it out of my Navy thing. So I had to give her credit. She did more for the Korean War than I did. I just sailed around. But. Because I didn't have anything to say about it. They tried to get me out of it. The guy I was in business with, he tried to get me out of it. They wrote to him and says, we're looking for aircraft people and we got to fill that ship. So there's no getting out of any of it. They didn't care what it did to me. So the two women living all by themselves over. My wife and my mother, George and me are both gone. All my other brothers, they're all married with their family. None of them got called back. George and I just happened to be in that one situation.
Yes.
He had been in Korea before during World War II, so he knew something about it. So he got called back. Because of my experience in the propellers, everything, they called me back. That's what I did aboard ship. That's it.
Okay. All right, so that was very informative.
I got a chance to expound a little bit. See, I won't talk like this for another 2 months.
So it's good we got everything recorded. So
what do you teach it? You teach it?
both of us are architecture students.
Oh, yeah, that's really up there. That's good.
We're juniors.
Yeah,
So
good for
we're
you.
in classes this summer.
Good for you. Wentworth has a good name. Has a very good name.
Yep.
Architecture, that's the really thing. Boy, get in on some of this stuff they're doing today. Yeah.
Yeah, we love Wentworth. It's been
Yeah, you have to like it. It's not an easy subject, architecture. It's not easy. No, it's so out of the ordinary. It isn't run of the mill type of work. Because there's a lot of jobs that are hard, but they're run of the mill. The lawyer or doctor or accountant, but to be an architect is out of the way. Yeah. Glorified printers, that's what you are.
Everybody seems to hate us. Engineers hate us, and they always get frustrated with us. But
So your father was in something of it.
no, he went to school for printing, but he didn't end up doing it. But on the side, he did lettering for signs.
Oh, well, he did.
He did on the side.
Yeah, well, it was artistic. Yeah. That's good.
But
The background is still good, though. You still know what a letter has with serifs on it, and stuff like that. Your father would know that.
Yes.
Most people don't know what bankers cost. Like is no serif, straight figures, but he'd know this if he's going to print something about somebody.
That's why my dad was trained in that, and he also was trained in construction. So that's where I get my architecture interest, because architecture is both art and engineering at the same time. So
Yeah, that's pretty good.
yeah. In fact, they had to drive me and my dad and my mom had to drive us up here
Yeah, right.
because my car is still at home. So and we're in Boston, we don't have a car. So
So how are we going to leave now? Your car's out here, your mother's car?
they're still here. Yeah.
Are you driving it?
No,
Is she?
my dad is.
Oh.
And they're not gonna let me drive my car.
And I curbed myself. I said to myself, I'll be foolish to be on the road at my age. I don't have the reflective like I used to have. I can't do. I got my first driver's lesson in 1935. That's right. But as a time when you get old like I do, you don't have those reflections. Right? So save other people to get out. I sold my car and I don't drive it, but it leaves you in a tough spot. No access to get anywhere.
Oh yeah.
I always kid the people on who I eat with. I says, being here, not having a license, and have to wait for your dinner. I feel just like I'm a resident here, but I feel like a resident at the building house of correction. They're the same thing. They don't have it. If they want to get something, they can't leave and go. I wanted to have buy a new watch. My other one broke one. I got it last minute. I said, I can't go out and buy a watch. They won't. I can't make it. He can't. I can. We're both stuck here. He got me then we all get a big charge out of that. But that's not a good comparison. It ain't funny really. But we get along with it. I eat with guys. I don't see them outside. I have lunch with them. I don't see them at all. Men don't meet with each other like this. They don't. Like women are very clannish.
Oh yeah.
Women are clannish. They are. Yeah, and it's good for them. But men, stupid as we are, we don't do that. We don't. We get together and we just don't. We just don't have to. We don't want to hear about his success. We want him to hear me, but we don't want to hear them. So that's what men do. But women are just as brave as any man that ever lived. I'm not just saying that. I mean it. It's a strange thing. You learn these things as you go along. I didn't find out till I was married to one. Then I find out she was smarter than me. She was smarter and braver, and without her I was nothing. Like I am now, nothing, because I lost her. She's been gone 5 years in August. I miss every year, every day. It's a strange thing. But there's one thing we should never. I always give this advice if you're married. Always make sure your partner, you're one person from that. Always make sure that they know how much you love them. My wife knew. I never held it back. I always told my wife I loved her, and that's what you got to do. Because once they're gone, you can't tell them anymore. See, I can't tell Mary, I love you for what you did for me. I can't do that. But I told her before she died. All the time, I always took care of her. I says, "You're my wife. You're everything to me." And everybody should do that because you'll be happier. But that is a good motto. You're one. I know I've met people that said, "I wish I could have told my wife how much I loved her," because I never did, so I never got the opportunity. I never did, and now she's gone, I can't tell her. So I wish I had have told her. I don't know whether she knew it or not. But if you tell her, you know you're clean, you're doing the right thing for yourself. You told her, and your wife knows all about you. She knows, because I told her before she died that she was everything to me. I'm still single. Still single. I'm still old. She was 88 years old when she died, and see, I'm 95 now because she was only 18 months younger than me, so she was pretty near my age. But I outlasted her. It's because she took care of me, and not because I took care of her. Yeah, she took care of me. She was a great cook. Right. I don't know what else I can tell you.
No, that's it. That's fine. We've taken a lot of your time.
Huh?
We've taken a lot of your time.
Oh, I got all the time in the world. I'm taking your time. Your time is more valuable than mine. I'm here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm here all the time. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading. I read I read some good biographies like Truman, Eisenhower, and General MacArthur. There's strange things that I got a call from a guy wanted to sit and talk to me, something like you were talking to me, and they said they told me there's a guy. His name was some nurse told him to come up and see me for a while, and his name is Douglas. He said, "Okay." A couple of days later, I heard that he was going to come up and see me. He hasn't yet, but he's going to. What's his name? I said, "Who is he?" She said, "Well, he said his name is Douglas MacArthur." I said, "That's pretty good. I got Eisenhower in the other room." But his name is really Douglas MacArthur. That's a strange thought. I thought they were pulling my leg, you know. I said, "Yeah, I got Eisenhower in another room right now." But that's his name.
Wow. That's
Douglas MacArthur. That's a good name to have. Yeah, he comes out. I don't know what he has to do. The telephone number he gave me is the same Saint some church here in Burlington. It's a Catholic church. He has something to do with the church. I don't know what. I'll find out when I talk with him. But we had a laugh about that too. Yeah.
All right, then we're gonna get going.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure letting you talk, listening to you talk. So.
Was that also I don't know what else I can do. Talk to you about it.
Told.
Okay.
I think it's